Hello and welcome back. Today we're doing, in honor of the last day of the year, we're going to do 12 books of the year, or the series I've been calling on my TikTok, 12 days of books. And so this is where I went through all of my reading months. Shout out Storygraph for being able to accommodate this. So I can go on in my year, in my reading goal, and select the month of books I want to look at. So instead of having to scroll through everything and look, I could just click on the month, which was really helpful to be able to pick out books for this, because then I can see what I actually read in each month. And then so we're going to be looking at a book from each month of the entire year, so from January all the way through this December. And basically what I'm going to do is pick a book I haven't read before, pick all different genres of books, and pick my favorite books from that month. That's what I tried to do when I picked these books. So up first, also I have a stack of books here that you can't see, but any books that I don't physically show you, I will have their covers up somewhere on the screen. I don't know where yet, but they will be up there, I promise. So up first, we have for January, The Ugly Duchess by Eloisa James. This one is a historical romance. I didn't read too much at the beginning of the year. I did a lot of rereads in January. So this was one of the new books I read. It was a historical romance. It was one of the only ones I read this year, so I figured I would include it. So anyone who's looking for a historical romance recommendation can look at that one. For February now, this was day 2 on TikTok, we have The Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 4th book in the Throne of Glass series, which in my personal opinion, so much better than ACOTAR, because I did read both this year, and you'll notice there's not an ACOTAR book on here, but this one made it. And this is me just saying, hey, I really enjoyed the series. Was this my favorite book from the series? No, but I did only read 2 books in February, this and a reread, so I didn't want to include the reread, so I included this one. And this is me saying that if you have not read this series, I recommend it. It was very good, and I think it's significantly better than ACOTAR. My favorite book in this series is Kingdom of Ash, which I also have over here, but this is my recommendation from February. It's this book, but I would obviously recommend the whole series. Up next, for March, we have Once Bitten, Twice Shy, and I was reading these while I was on my spring break for college in March, while I was visiting my previous roommate in California, and these ones were so good, and I was so sad when I could not find the rest of this series anywhere. So I read up to book 4 in this series, and I enjoyed it so much. It's like a paranormal romance mystery series where the one character I'm pretty sure is a vampire hunter and the other one is a vampire. And so this is such a good series, and I would love to read the rest if I can ever find it. For April, we have Desert Star by Michael Connelly. This is in his Renee Ballard series. I think it might be the 4th or 5th one. And I picked this one up end of last year in maybe December or early this year in January. And I didn't get around to reading it till April because something happened in the one before it where Renee Ballard is in this one and Harry Bosch is in it too. And so something happened in the one before where they were in a fight. So I had to read that one first. But you probably can read this as a standalone. I have just read the other one, so I wanted to read the series in order. But it does read as a standalone, and this is detective fiction wholeheartedly. It's literally a detective novel. I highly recommend Michael Connelly's works if you're looking for some good, no romantic suspense, none of that, just straight up mystery, suspense, detective fiction. I highly recommend this book. For May, we're already on May. For May, we have this lovely book, By a Thread by Lucy Score. And I read this one, let's see, well, obviously in May, but this was the first book I read by Lucy Score, and I went on to read a lot of her other works this year. Most of them I don't own. I just happened to see this one. The cover drew my eye in the bookstore, and so it was like, yeah, like I'll pick it up and read it. And it was a very good book. It was slightly longer than it needed to be, but it was very solid. It says it right on the cover, a grumpy boss romantic comedy. So it's grumpy sunshine, it's office romance for anyone who's looking for anything like that. For June, we have Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This is the yellow one for anyone who thinks in colors. And the cover will be up, obviously. This one is the third in her, like, love series. So it's the first one is The Love Hypothesis. I don't remember the second one, but it's the pink one. And then the third one is Love Theoretically. And I just really enjoy reading Ali Hazelwood's books. Are they all very similar in, like, the way they proceed? Yes. Are they all super entertaining and really fun to read? Also yes. So I will be continuing to read those. For July, I don't think anyone is surprised when I pull up this beautiful gold book called Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This one kind of took the book world by storm over the summer. So much so that this came out in April. I think it came out in April. For the first time, and the second book in the series came out in November, and there is a reason this one is on my list and the second book in the series is not. First reason being I didn't really want to do repeat authors. I did one, but I didn't really want to. And then the second reason being, this one, in my opinion, was significantly better than the second one. The second one was a 2-part book, and the first part felt very much like this one, but I'm pretty sure halfway through, I think I heard somewhere that halfway through writing the second one, Rebecca Yarros decided to make it a 5-book series instead of a 3-book series, and so the second one, it kind of like shifted gears, and it to me, it felt like the second part of book 2 was trying to do so many things at once. But I will continue reading the series and like feel it out, but if the third one wouldn't make a list like this whenever it comes out, then probably not gonna read 4 and 5. But this book I highly recommend. I recommend the second one too, just so you can continue the story, but even if you're not going to continue, I recommend this book. I recommended it to all my friends, and everybody who's read it that I've talked to personally and like personally know has enjoyed it. But not everybody online has enjoyed it, and that's fine. Like, it's not for everyone. This is not like deep fantasy. It is not heavy fantasy. It's very light fantasy, and I think it's geared toward people who like aren't really into fantasy but want to get into it. So if you're one of those people, I would highly recommend this series to start with, or ACOTAR. Everybody seems to like ACOTAR for that reason. This one, very solid book. It's a wonderful storyline in the first book, and I believe Rebecca Yarros will turn it around. For August, we have The Blonde Identity by Ali Carter. And like, I don't think about this one as much as I think about like Kingdom of Ash and Throne of Glass and Aelin Galathynius, but this one I still like really remember what happened and really think about sometimes. So I highly recommend it. It was, I think, Ali Carter's first like new adult type book. It was suspense and like mystery with a side of romance is how I would describe it. So basically what happens in The Blonde Identity is that this girl has a twin sister, and the twin sister is missing, but everybody thinks and the twin sister is a spy, and everybody thinks this girl is the spy because the twin sister like is gone. So they think she's the spy, and like she meets up with another spy, and they have to like figure everything out. I really enjoyed that book from August. For September, which is we have My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine, and this one I just remember being really fun. It was like this vampire is looking for a roommate, and this like 20-something girl is like, yeah, sure, like I'll be your roommate, not knowing he's a vampire, and like he's only away at night and she's only awake in the day. So like they get to know each other in like the twilight hours and the dawn hours, and it's a paranormal romance, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun. So that's the one from September. For October, I have this book. Such a beautiful book. This one was one of my most highly anticipated books of the year. This one, an Iron Flame. This one, so good. I think it was a very, very good ending to this trilogy. This is the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber. So this is a Curse for True Love, and I think it was just such a good ending to the trilogy, and obviously beautiful cover. This is the Barnes & Noble special edition, I believe. I really enjoy that the spine matches my Ballad of Never After book, which I just like that. So I would recommend this series. I also read her Caraval series, which also very good, and there is some overlap between them. Like you see some of the this one happens after the Caraval series, so you see some of the characters again, but both very good series. I started reading her when like I was technically the target audience, and I just never stopped because I like it so much. For November, like I said, we do not have Iron Flame this month. Instead, we have The Frontrunner by Elsie Silver. And this is another one where I'm going to recommend you literally every book Elsie Silver has written. I really, really enjoyed all of her books, and I literally, after Iron Flame, I took like a week break where I watched a show or something. I don't remember. But I didn't read anything for about a week after Iron Flame. And then I started in like mid to late November reading Elsie Silver's entire discography. Like literally, I have read now every single book she has written, and they are all so good. Obviously, based on my preferences, I preferred some over others. It was one of my favorites. I really, really enjoyed this series, and well, it's 2 series, and her writing, so good. I will be reading any other book she puts out. So I would recommend everything Elsie Silver writes, and especially The Frontrunner, because I think that might have been my most highly rated one. And then finally for December, we have our repeat author. One of the books I could not put down this month was House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, which is part of the Crescent City series. It's actually the first book in the Crescent City series. And because the 3rd one is coming out and it's called House of Flame and Shadow, I wanted to read it before that one came out, because I do want to read it because people are speculating that Aelin Galathinius from the Throne of Glass series is going to come back, and there's already crossover between the ACOTAR characters, which I'm not as excited about, but if Aelin comes back, like that's definitely something I will be reading. But I'm also all for leaving that character alone, because if you've read the series, she's been through a lot. But this one was really gripping. I thought it was significantly better than ACOTAR. It was a very good book from her. This one is like more modern, where both ACOTAR and Throne of Glass, like they don't have cell phones. They don't really have a lot of technology. Like it's just like swords and things. Where these people do have technology. They have like cars and cell phones, all of that kind of thing. It just felt multifaceted. So I would definitely recommend this one from Sarah J. Maas. Thank you so much for recapping my 2023 reads with me. I would not say this reflects my top 10 books of the year or top 12 books of the year, because there are definitely some that I did not include from different months because in favor of including one by a different author or one from a different genre, but I would say this is pretty representative of everything I read this year. Aside from, there were a couple dark romances that I read this year that I really enjoyed, but that didn't make the list because obviously I only picked one. And let me know what you'd like to see from me. Feel free, if you'd like to see each individual video about these books, to follow me on TikTok, because I post on there basically every day. I'll see you in the new year.